What's up, heroes? Kargoz here, coming to you with another Heroes of the Storm guide, this time for the lovable scumbag himself, Tychus J. Findlay. Tychus is a Terran space marine from the StarCraft franchise with a larcenous attitude and a hankering for destruction. With that said, let's get the basic rundown on Tychus. Tychus is a beefy ranged assassin with high damage output and above average survivability. He has the highest health pool out of all ranged assassins, however his HP is still roughly the same as melee assassins such as Zeratul, so if caught out of position, you will pop quite easily. Tychus is strong throughout every stage of the game and rocks a very well-rounded kit that allows him to burst hard, knock enemies around, chase or escape, and we can't forget about his ability to pilot the insanely cool nuke-dropping combat walker Odin. Before we get into the build itself, let's take a closer look at his ability, shall we? Overkill is a targeted damage ability with a 15-second cooldown. Tychus winds up his minigun and sprays his target for massive damage, dealing less damage to nearby targets caught in the crossfire. You can click the ability again while channeling to select a new target, and you can move and use other abilities as well. This spell is Tychus' bread and butter, with the potential to do some of the most damage in the game if you can get the full channel off. While the cooldown might seem long at 15 seconds, it's important to note that the CD is ticking down while the 5-second channel is going off, meaning that there's only 10 seconds of downtime. Keep in mind that the best counter to this ability is to interrupt or CC Tychus, so try to play accordingly.
Walk the walk.
Frag Grenade is a targeted area of effect ability on a 10-second cooldown. Tychus lobs a grenade at target location, dealing damage and knocking enemies away from the grenade's point of impact. So if you chuck a nade behind an enemy, it will knock them towards you. If you chuck one in front of them, it will knock them away. Basic physics. Frag Grenade is also a very efficient way to clear out minion waves, just make sure you don't need the cooldown again for 10 seconds. It's important to note that while early game the grenade's damage is quite lackluster, this ability scales well into late game and can be a powerful finisher or nuke. Run and Gun is a directional movement ability on an 8-second cooldown. Tychus charges forward a short distance in the selected direction, winding up his minigun so that he can auto-attack instantly. Not only is it his main way to chase or escape heroes, it allows him to dodge deadly skill shots such as Stitch's hook or an incoming projectile. Commandeer Odin is Tychus' first heroic ability, and it's on a lengthy 100-second cooldown. It allows him to pilot a powerful Odin that deals increased damage, has a 100% longer basic attack range, and uses different abilities. The Odin lasts 23 seconds and has a lengthy wind-up animation before it's fully functional. It is often better to activate this ability in anticipation of a team fight rather than after it's broken out, because if you do try and activate it while taking damage, you will become an immobile sitting duck and will often die before getting any value from it. Now let's take a look at the Odin's abilities. Annihilate is a frontal damaging skill shot with a long range on a 7-second cooldown. Ragnarok Missiles is a targeted area of effect ability which launches a missile at nearby enemies dealing moderate damage. Finally, Thrusters boosts Tychus in the same way Run and Gun does, minus the minigun effect. Draken Laser Drill is Tychus' second heroic ability, and it's also on a lengthy 100-second cooldown. Tychus calls down a laser drill at a target location for 22 seconds, dealing heavy damage per second to enemies it attacks. Reactivating this ability allows you to manually change the laser's target. There's a brief wind-up animation before the laser starts shooting, so consider dropping it a little earlier. And finally, Minigun is Tychus' trait. It increases his attack speed the longer he attacks, becoming fully wound up after 4 basic attacks. This effect lasts 3 seconds. Tychus' auto attacks are unique in the sense that they aren't immediately instant and require you to wind up his minigun briefly before he starts shooting. Also keep in mind that you can move while auto attacking with him, which is a unique and flavorful aspect of his play. Now that we understand his kit in a bit more detail, let's move on to our talent build of choice. Our Tier 1 talent of choice is Armor Piercing Rounds, which increases Overkill's damage to its primary target by 20%. Overkill is your bread and butter skill, and buffing it is going to be our priority throughout this build. The increased damage buff makes your Overkill melt enemies even harder, and gives the cooldown better bang for the buck. Our Tier 2 talent of choice is Spray and Pray. Spray and Pray increases the range of Overkill, and as stated before, our priority is buffing Overkill to its max potential. Furthermore, Tychus has one of the shortest ranges of all ranged assassins at a mere 4.5, where others have the standard 5.5. The increased range helps Tychus squeeze out more damage while keeping him safer by not overextending. Our Tier 3 talent of choice is First Aid. First Aid is a 1-minute cooldown that when activated heals you for 35% of your max health over 6 seconds. While Tychus does have a decently large health pool, he is still quite squishy in teamfights, and First Aid helps hedge against your vulnerability. As of the recent patch, this talent gets even more value as you can use it while piloting your Odin. Our heroic ability of choice is none other than Commandeer Odin, which has recently been rehauled. I actually prefer the new Odin, which gives you higher range, damage, and mobility at the cost of not having an extra HP bar. Our Tier 5 choice is Lead Rain, which makes Overkill apply a stacking slow up to 20%. The slow this talent provides is nothing to scoff at, and will make it much easier to chase down fleeing heroes and to set up for optimal frag grenades. Our Tier 6 talent of choice is Stone Skin, which is a 1-minute cooldown that when activated grants you 30% of your max health as shields for 5 seconds. Similar to First Aid, you can now use this while in Odin to hedge against your squishiness. And finally, our Tier 7 talent of choice is the de facto Bolt of the Storm. This talent allows you to teleport a short distance every 40 seconds, and it's now usable while piloting your Odin. Similar to all other MOBAs, positioning is arguably the most important aspect of the game, and this talent allows you so much more flexibility with your lines of play. When playing Tychus, your role in each game is that of a carry and ranged damage dealer. You are strong at every stage of the game, however in teamfights, you need to rely on your teammates to stop enemies with heavy crowd control effects such as Kerrigan or Muradin from zoning you out or shutting you down. Early game, you can afford to be aggressive and go for kills, however make sure you keep soaking your lane and try not to overextend. Tychus is pretty awful at jungling, so make sure you have a teammate there with you to tank all the damage from neutrals. Even late game, you can do the easy camps, but you'll sacrifice too much HP in the process for it to be efficient. Also, remember that if you're caught out of position, don't activate your ultimate in desperation. It's often better to die and save it than to use it and get zero value from it. As soon as you start taking heavy damage, I advise you to pop your defensives preemptively such as First Aid, as it takes 6 seconds for it to reach full effect. Tychus is easily burstable and you need to play around this. Tychus' Frag Grenade is a capable interrupt which can stop things such as Nazeebo's ult, so use it to interrupt and CC when possible. And with that, we are finished with this down and dirty guide to Tychus J. Findlay, one of my favorite heroes. I want to thank you very much for making it to the end of the video and wish you the best of luck on the battlefield. Once again, this is Kargoz from eSports Heroes signing out. Have a good one.